This video goes over speech marks, how to use speech marks, commas, capital letters, and anything else you need when you're really punctuating speech in a story. So this comes up in the 11 plus, but it's also really good to know during your primary school years. So firstly, there are a few arrows on this that you're going to have to pay attention to. Okay, so the first arrow is pointing at the first speech mark. That's number 1. Second arrow, it's pointing at the capital letter at the beginning of the speech. There should always be a capital letter when a character starts speaking. Okay, so number 2 is showing you that capital letter. Number 3 down here should be showing you a kind of combination of things. It's showing you a speech mark and it's showing you that comma. Okay, a comma always comes before the end of a sentence that the character's saying, and the speech mark is just like the one at the beginning of the sentence. It just shows you that the character's done though instead of when it begins. Okay, there's also an arrow here that's pointing at the beginning of the storyteller's information. So the storyteller is saying who told you what happened in the speech mark. So in this one, the teacher was telling you that. So the teacher said there was no reason to behave so badly. And we add this little bit in blue to tell us who the character was. In this case, it was the teacher. Okay, so, and here we have another example. So once again, number 1 thing to remember is these little things, speech marks. And the speech marks are at the beginning and the end of the sentence. And once again, there's a comma down there. The comma comes just before the end speech mark. And it separates what the character says from what the storyteller says. So here we have a sentence that says, "Don't worry, I will never do that again," answered the student. So the bit in pink down here, pink highlight, is the bit that the storyteller's saying. He or she is telling us that it was the student that answered the question. And up here we have what the student said, which was, "Don't worry, I will never do that again." So the comma and quotation mark or speech mark are actually showing us something really important, which is that this is the end of the character speaking, and this is the beginning of the storyteller speaking to whoever's reading it. Okay, so there are similarities in both of these. They both have speech marks, they both have capital letters at the beginning of them, they both have full stops at the end, but the second example down here is more complex. See, there's this kind of flying full stop and this comma underneath it. That's called a semicolon, and in this one it replaces the word because. So if we pretend that's because, then this would read, "Don't worry, because I will never do that again." Okay, and that's just the student answering the teacher saying, "You don't have to worry because I won't misbehave again." Okay, so try to remember all those things. The capital letter at the beginning of the speech mark at the beginning of the speech, and the speech mark and comma at the end of the speech that separates what the character's saying from what the storyteller says.